Welcome to ProMiner's YouTube channel. In this video, I'll take you through the process of configuring ProMiner for solo mining. If you haven't installed ProMiner yet, you can watch our previous video which shows how to download it and install it. This video assumes you have installed the ProMiner Windows service and the Control Panel app, and that the app is connected to the service. The app should look like this. It has a network connection to the mining rig and is connected to the ProMiner Windows service. Geth and parity are switched off. The miner process is running, but mining is not switched on yet. I'll now run through the configuration settings you will need to start solo mining. I'm going to go quite quickly because if you're solo mining, you probably know what you're doing already. There are 3 stages. Firstly, you'll need an Ethereum node to use as a farm server work source. I'll show you how to run the internal instances of Geth and parity, or you can use an external farm server if you already have one running. Then you'll need to connect the miner to your farm server. And lastly, you can start mining. So let's go to the Details tab for this miner. The first thing to do is to start an Ethereum node to use as a farm server. ProMiner includes the latest versions of both Geth and parity. The advantage of using one or even both of the included nodes is that ProMiner will restart them if they get stuck. The configuration settings for Geth should be quite familiar, and the actual command line used to start the Geth process is shown in the middle panel. You can override the command line entirely if you need to by ticking this check mark and just typing the arguments you need. If you just need to add an extra argument or 2, you can leave the command line as an automatic and enter them here. By default, ProMiner sets the cache size to 1 GB. The most important setting is the Ether address. This is your Ethereum wallet address, which will receive your mining rewards when you solve a block. The other settings are whether to start the Ethereum version of Geth or the Ethereum Classic fork of Geth, whether or not to enable IPC. Unfortunately, Mist and the Ethereum wallet cannot connect to Geth over IPC when it's run as a service, but this is something we're looking into, so this is off by default. And lastly, whether or not to enable RPC. The miner process connects to Geth over RPC, so you will need to turn this on. If you want to connect to this instance of Geth from other mining rigs, you'll need to change the RPC host to the IP address of this rig. Otherwise, the default local host is fine. And port 8545 is the standard RPC port. You can also specify which CPU cores Geth can use. So if there's a bug in Geth or an attack which causes Geth to use 100% CPU, it will not take over the whole machine and mining can continue. This machine has 4 cores, so I'll let Geth use cores 0 and 1. Click the green Apply Config button, which sends your configuration to the Windows service. And then click Restart Geth to actually start the process. You'll see the Geth status tile turns green to show it is running. And it also shows how many peers it is connected to and the current block number. Geth should take an hour or so to sync from scratch. I'm going to turn it off now because I'm going to be using an external farm server that is already running on one of my other ProMiner rigs. Configuring parity is just the same apart from 3 additional options. Parity currently has a warp setting which should sync from scratch in just a few minutes. It also has a built-in user interface that you can access in your browser on port 8180. And you can also switch dApps on or off. If you want to run both Geth and parity, they cannot both use the default RPC port, which is 8545. So by default, parity is set to port 8546. From here on, I'll assume you now have a fully synced farm server. So now you have to connect the miner to it and get work and submit solutions. Firstly, make sure that the work source is set to Farm Client. Then we go to the Farm Client tab to configure the connection. Click Add New Work Source. The RPC server can be set to the internal instances of Geth and Parity or an external server. I'm going to use an external server in this demo. Set the chain to Ethereum or Ethereum Classic and enter the full RPC address of the server. Clicking Apply Config will send this configuration to the Windows service. The miner process should restart as we've changed the work source. And then you can check that it is connected to your farm server in the logs. And you can see the miner is connected to the farm server. You can add more work sources if you are running multiple nodes, and ProMiner will monitor them all and switch to using the one with the highest block number. So if one gets stuck, ProMiner can continue mining on another one. You can discard your changes and reload the current running values using the refresh button here. Now you're almost ready to start mining. The last thing to do is choose which graphics cards to use, which you can set on the Devices tab. This shows all the devices found by OpenCL. This rig has 6 RX 480s, so I'll select all of those and click Apply Config again. That should be everything, so I'll go to the Startup tab and turn mining on. And click Apply Config one last time and watch the logs for a couple of blocks. And there we have a mining confirmed message, which means everything is working. I'll just quickly show you a rig that has been solo mining for the last week. We can add a connection to a rig on the Config tab. Just click Add New, enter the IP address and ProMiner port, and press Update. It will take just a moment to connect and download a week's worth of performance data. It runs at about 191 peak megahashes per second and about 185 average megahashes per second. You can view 1 hour, 1 day and 7-day periods. On the 7-day graph, you can see how stable it is. The average hash rate has only varied by plus or minus 1 megahash per second, which is less than 1%. It's also been very lucky this week. It should have found 1 or maybe 2 solutions, but has actually found 4 this week. The yellow lines show when the solutions were found and submitted. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching and good luck mining!